Camera girl. We will start after this lunch break. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tasha. This is Ksenia and Miroslava. And we are from the Gallery of Matica Srpska. And we will be leaders of this. We will lead this second workshop. During this workshop, you will do something else than in the first. You already seen how that workshop is structured, but during this second workshop you will do and you will prepare some kind of your workshop with the artwork that you already chose from your museum or the gallery. I don't know, we want to see, do you have that reproductions of your work from your museum, or we have to prepare for you some artworks?
Is somebody doing reproduction artwork?
No.
Yes, but only from this museum or from another one?
Whatever would you like. Okay. We can also print. When you choose artwork, we can print it.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
It's whatever.
One of the possibilities that you can choose from this manual, one of the artworks from the National Gallery of Slovenia, Kunsthistorisches, or the Gallery of Matica Srpska also. This is for the beginning. I suppose, and I already seen that you were divided in the first workshop in the groups of 3, yeah? And it will be in this workshop also that kind of stuff, that kind of groups. Okay, as in the first workshop, you will have a warm-up exercise, and you will work in the group of 3. I think you 3, or how you were divided in the first workshop? With 4? Okay. Then you are the one group, second, third, and you will.
He has to leave in 10 minutes or
okay.
15 minutes.
So now you have to close a little bit one interesting exercise. Okay, this is you have to build the highest tower, but okay, you 3 are in a group. You have to use only your right hand. You have to use only your left hand. And you can't help with one hand, with both hands, however you want. So you have to make the highest tower, however you want with this Lego, yes.
Also, you have 1 minute to complete this exercise. When I said start, you start. When I said finish, you have, I said 10 seconds until the end of the workshop. You work as a group. The main goal is to build the highest tower as possible. Okay?
And the third person can do what?
Can use only one. Everyone can use only one.
Okay, yes. Okay.
For example, if you're on the left side, you use your left hand, on the right side, you use your right hand, and that on the middle, you can use on Okay, do you understand that? Okay, the person on the right side use just right hand. On the left side just the left hand. In the middle person use just right or left hand. But important is that you use just one hand. Okay? You decide which one. Okay? 1 minute. 1 minute. This you use. You don't need it. You can use.
This is cheating.
No. Destroy all the
He has to go. That's the reason why.
That's the main problem with kids, because they start to build something and they just continue on that. introduction. Okay. We can start now.
I see people using both hands, right?
Only one hand. Only one hand. No, only one hand. You have 25 seconds until the end. Okay.
So which tower is the highest? Okay, or this one?
You are the
That one? Okay, you have good technique, right?
Very modern.
you find out the way how you build your model with that one single piece. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, your tower is very solid and very
Is it
great.
stable?
It's not too much creative, but it is very, very strong, I think. And it's the highest. It's very practical tower. And this one is second. Great. It's very tall, but I don't know.
No. Okay. And I saw also that in this group they made a strong base for their tower. They were a little bit lower than the other groups, but they built a strong platform for their tower.
And more artistic.
They also, no, yes.
Yeah, this one is the smaller, but the most creative, I think.
Okay. This was actually a first exercise, just to warm up from the next part of the workshop. And the second part, you can destroy it.
Now they don't play anymore. Now something serious.
I hope that you, from the workshop, you get some skills to think about this kind of workshop. And some exercise that we use for the workshops today. Your task during this exercise is to create your own workshop. What we will prepare, we prepared.
Okay, this is paper for your
But
plan.
who has a reproduction of the video? This group, you choose your artwork. Yeah.
We can print this to anybody who has their own production can tell us and we can print it for you. Okay? So you can tell me. Just pick one or choose one.
Yes.
You wrote in the
Which painting are you using?
Yes, every group has one. No, it doesn't. Or you can tell if you know just whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Or do you have any picture in mind?
You don't have to use from the book. You can imagine some that you know already. You can print out the art as you wish. You have that.
different museums. Just imagine that you are the same museum and you have to create your own workshop. What is important? To pose a question. What you want to do with that kind of workshop? What kind of subject or theme you want to talk with children and other groups you choose, like a target group in your museum? What's the problematic thing about that group, and what kind of themes would be interesting to talk about in your museums with the artworks you get or choose in this workshop?
So you make a question, one question that you would ask teenagers, and from that question you need to make up an exercise, something that they need label to build in front of that question. So you had here a conflict, so they would ask how do you see the conflict, the solution of the conflict. So that's something you need to look your artwork now, see what's most interesting from it, and just make an exercise about it. So we will talk to every group, see if we can help you do that. But now we would like to know if everyone has an artwork. No?
Well, first question, what if we don't come from the museums? Because none of us in our group come from the museum.
Okay. So is there something like a subject or a problem in your classes with your teenagers that you would like to discuss, solve it, or something that you would like to work with them? You know, like...
And then we can find an artwork or an object that can be related to that.
For example, in our museums we use these three artworks, and we are talking about migration. Migration of the people from Serbia and another country, why they are moving from their country to another, moving abroad. And our first question during that workshop is, what does it mean for you home? The home, like what does it mean for you home? It could be for many of the students or pupils, for them home is like house, for example. For some of them it's a house. But with the question, you have to target your problem, and with that, after that question, children must build a model of that answer. They will.
But I think it could be for somebody it's like loneliness,
also in this manual, you have a short description of the exercise that we use during the art workshop. One of them you already use it, so on the 18th, the page 18. And after you finish, you have 45 minutes to finish your workshop, or structure of the workshop.
You work all together?
No, because she's from the museum and I'm a teacher. I will be a tutor, so it's not.
It doesn't matter, it's better if you keep together that you're not in the same profession. It's better.
Okay.
Because in this sense,
partly don't really have to explain anything, so you just look at this, we ask 3 questions, but here again we have to tell more, maybe more, until the kids can start to imagine what it's all about. So, like, I guess, like, if I think about my pupils, like they will see the videos already because they don't see these details.
Yes, they're just looking for
It's a good preparation. Maybe you just need an introduction.
Yeah. But this one, well, normally they have inside.
But sometimes they
To the universe, galaxy.
We're looking for something for artists, culturals.
This is a presentation. As I can see, there's a lot of talks. They're just closed, right?
No, just one message.
So you can start from and imagine that they have to do something that has a relation with this topic that you're doing.
No, it's not strong enough.
Maybe you can list
But why would that be a problem for him? Unity, no, like
Yes, maybe it's too much.
Das ist jetzt wieder einer von den Panikmomenten.
In any case, I have so many shots with this work. But maybe if you have some different idea, you can try to make some different activities with this painting and to have a completely different message. Maybe just suggestion. It would be interesting because now we know the story about this painting and we know Kunsthistorisches what the messages they want to tell us about this. But maybe we should think in some different direction, you know. I don't know, maybe just a suggestion. Because one painting could be interpreted in so many different ways.
Yeah, then I would just.
just like
I read about the workshop but we can also take this
So like you give them
We have to ask them about these things. Because you need a direction where you want today. What about you want today to think? Something like that. About what? So what about
because they were just
okay. No, it's never mind. You want to make a question. Well, I think some strong and crucial question. How you why this painting? What you want to show them with that painting? What you want they see? Something like that.
It would be helpful that we see also in this manual what you have to think about a question. That you start from the question. So the question that after that children or the group build a model, then they share a model with the group, and we reflect about the models that were built during from person to person. Okay, and so when you start with the question, then children or build a model, and when we talk about the that's one of the main structures of the workshop.
Workshops with a few questions, crucial questions. What do you explain to refugees? What do you have to be your home? What do you like? And these kind of questions. Something crucial.
We're looking for a picture for the multicultural society to discuss about, because we have like class situation, like many different nationalities. In my case, it's just two, Austrians and Czech. And I guess more. It's a big stuff, and it's like finding something where maybe it's something that we didn't find anything where we are happy about
Die Sache war ja schon, also die Marie-Therese ja schon dass sie keinen wirklichen Antwort gegeben hat zu dem Zeitpunkt der Veranstaltung. Sozusagen, es war nicht
We are open society.
So this was probably made about either 4 rivers and 4 that might fit in a way. Just because you're familiar with nudity, I'll show you a picture of one. And where it got explicitly sexual.
I'm sorry.
So we're working with this picture, which is positive, plus she's pregnant, so it really is about, and she was raped, right? By attributing it as the nurses being punished, right? So get everything in there, and they get this very ambivalent body where you're not sure whether it's a woman. That's something you can talk and it might be that we did get some very explicit sexual models there with sex scenes. Right? But then again, I mean, particularly if you're talking about 14-year-olds, they're life, right? So that's no, because they're confronted with nudity every day, and if they have a cultural background which does not permit nudity, they still look at porn every day. So a lot of the things it's still part of their life. So it's not fair. Because I mean, at this lecture level, it's not real nudity, and it is a painting after all, so we really
It's not
get
a kind of
close to it.
For instance, he chose they posted it on each other, and basically it's similar to all families.
Just we don't get clothes down.
Yes.
Why not?
Einmal fotografiert werden, ich glaube, ich kenne
For example, like he looks like a little bit description, and we were not sure if it makes more sense to say which emotions do you recognize from looking at the picture, or which emotions do you feel looking at it. It's like more going to the personal, or like analyzing the picture, or going to the...
I think it always is question much better when it's personal. I think that. But why is this question? What do you mean this question
Character.
bring you?
Yes.
Why is this question important? Okay, feelings. Okay. And what else?
Or like protecting the ones which are the same.
Yes, great.
And maybe like they are like the, I would say like the nationalists, is it like all these five ones are the old ones, and here is like the account for society.
I know, I'm not thinking like you live very different than
Yes.
so models like I don't know, we go
One
models
character,
or
one
talking about something
maybe one character, and ask them about feeling of this character.
challenge.
But it's good discussion.
Maybe you can also like have a group of children that you say like
It's a challenge.
this one and this one and this one, like join them.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
They have their things.
No, I would say like three people are focusing on this man, like what are his feelings about like, his role in the situation, and what makes this guy, and what makes tiger, and what makes the crocodile, and then it's like everybody tells what I think, and then we have the whole picture.
Yes, common model is a good idea.
Also, it's looking weird.
Question.
You know what they
Question.
comparing the story kind of looks to them. That's why we're talking about
Everybody is one group, as you suggested. Some kind of confront them, right?
First,
but you have to guide them this way. And you should be very concentrated on your main question. Something like that. So every item should guide them to this
now looking at the picture, Sasha also came up with an idea because he has this look, it's maybe what is he looking, what's the last he from because one of the most powerful moments is visualizing
public life. Who everybody knows.
also kind of dress code could also refer to dress code. Now you can choose, of course,
It's great.
brand.
Maybe, yes, public life is everybody knows. You know, if he said this is why I don't know Malcolm, no one knows him. He said this is a president or something like that. Yeah, yes. Yeah, maybe or some singer.
When you have, when you want to
Yeah, sure.
show social.
Take it with me. I can't remember. You can have the second one. No, no.
About main question and about that how you can go in that way whatever some good question bring them make have one
I'm not sure because I see just looking at me.
yes
What is going on?
today.
I already.
Making model, making motion, whatever, action. So you can use that as that's very administrative if you don't use it in the right way. So you can think about something as a statement which could bring you to this question, to this bigger question.
Okay, so is there a question that arises?
So this is maybe you could think a little bit more about this question. It's not equal to other.
Which question? Wow, that's great. That's so hard. Yeah, what kind of group talk about that joy in different houses?
Yes.
But still the background is the connection.
Right now I see so many ideas, but for example, emotions. Five emotions are very clear, and maybe to connect with someone they know, I don't know, in some public place. That's very good, but I don't know how to use it again, how you can bring that differences to multiple questions.
From there?
So you've got another 10 minutes. Okay?
So, you think about these exercises, but the model is more the story, so it's maybe good to think about it like make the question that there is somebody else that constitutes some of it plan, and we all know this, but it's just easier to explain this on the model.
Some character, right? So after each of them, what they're doing, we talk about
How do you see in this setting today? I'm thinking about somebody who is when we go to the museum, it's storyline for you and for them. I think it's a little bit
picture, just imagine that maybe some are quite easy. For example, like a tiger is not to me because it's quite easy. But maybe like it's been quite hard. Because there is
Which idea to have children? Maybe they will be
really scared. You also need
very
to
different.
space. You're alone.
Okay,
That
then
yourself, and
that
if that dimension comes up,
person with from different cultural background. Okay. Then what where that question where guide children.
How they behave with different cultures in their own life, everyday life. So this is
problem from this question. What is wrong with what are the feelings or something like that. And then what they play, that conclusion, let's say, that everybody
so this is in this sense. This is this was my workshop.
yeah, but it's good to have different thoughts about things. I don't know, maybe some conclusion or is there?
But what they do when they do these characters from one person from another cultural background, that's why it's a group. For example, I don't know, I just did. For example, the singers and Valencia and the actors in Slovenia, in this relation regions, what are they doing?
That's quite tricky.
Because it's
historic.
yes, story and they are from different background and how they change why like that.
So you're the ways where we decided to focus on representation. The feelings of these people behind
something like choose one of the portraits that painted and we found one something in
you decide that about
that's great.
and then from that now
whatever you do, they can form the first, they can make some models, everything now.
Emotions. I think it's great.
Maybe it's better to guide children and the point is when it's always yes, because again, they like to play, that was like the top.
Maybe they just have been a long time only to think about it.
maybe you can do that. That's one of the good things why we for them to talk about it, because from them it's a model going and for the first, we thought that
The way
That's the point. Yes, when you give them some ideas, some things, for example, dressing and they start they think very deep about painting. They think
Dress code then, dress code today.
What would they present themselves
In case students will have okay, you're doing great. You don't need my help. Maybe.
what took some time, too much generally. What to do with this? Because anyone can see anything. But you have some good questions. So I think you should start thinking about this correct that question and maybe games or something like that. How is it entering this? How is it guys?
And then
It's not a question for them. You don't have to ask children these questions. It's just questions for you. What you want to show them. You want to show them what you could dress. Because they have to understand that it's
Which communication
even this could be some nationality for someone. Maybe.
No, just talk about Michael. I would say like try to build this situation here in a model.
Maybe to choose one relation, one connection, just one, because they did
Sorry for disturbing your work, but I think we start with the presentation of your Is anybody finished?
Yes, but always you have to ask yourself, why is that important in the question? Yes. Why is that building? Maybe that could be communicate, you know,
And
dialogue
not
between
don't
different
change
people,
the
different
word,
people,
not really change
how to
in the
treat
clause.
another one, how to communicate.
Okay, we know it's hard to make up a whole workshop now or just one exercise, but we should start with presentation, your ideas, because we don't have much time left. So even if you're not finished with something, we will try to just
Start now.
yeah. Is that volunteering or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I could.
Okay, great.
You have to.
Painting we choose. I'm working at Schönbrunn Palace, and this is a very important painting for us. Maria Theresa and her family. We are for Austria, for Schönbrunn. In my times, it was in every school history book. I don't know if it still is, but it's
And we were thinking about family, about representation, about ideal images that they might want to convey to people who look at this. And our first exercise would be to build also a mini figure and then give it 3 things or attributes that make them look their best. And to describe why this is the case. And the second thing would then be to look at the painting and choose one person. Ideally the people who are older than 5 years old, and not the dogs if possible. And then the question is, what do you think is going on in their head at the moment at which this picture was painted? We would expect something like family issues, how do they look, how do I represent myself, what do I wear, and stuff like that, hopefully. So you could then maybe also explain how the family worked and etc. And
then that they could refer how they are representing themselves on the net, on Instagram, and what is important today to look his or her best. And
yeah, that sounds like a great workshop, really.
It's a question about self-representation, right?
yeah.
But also family, and we know from our workshops, because we discuss about home and family, how important it is for students, for teenagers. And I mean, relating to a painting like this, it could be also interesting for them. So it's really great. So you are from a museum and you?
I will be a teacher, yeah.
Okay.
A good combination.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And one last thing, we thought we could transfer this painting to today. Like, what would this family or a family like that look today? But that is just an idea that we have for another building exercise.
Great.
So, yeah. Thank you.
So somebody else?
You?
Yes, this was a great idea.
We could discuss it just quite randomly because they're on the same page at the prospect. So the workshop would take place in Leopold Museum, and it would be for adults that are usually quite busy people, and they have their life structures in some kind of society, whether it's job environment or family, so they don't really have time to be on their own, like alone. So at first they would probably build a deck to see like the differences and everything, and it would be an individual task, and then like build a scene person being alone. And because we saw the difference between this one that is more sad or depressed and the one that is more like We at first we wrote like freedom or escape or memory relaxation, so something good, and we like predicted that also the models would be different. And then in the collection, so in the Liverpool Museum, they would find in a room or two, like the more restricted space, painting that relates best with the model. And of course, now the catch is that probably in front of one painting there will be more than one person, even though the film is being alone. So they would probably start also to communicate. And at the end, for the conclusion, they would come back and they would do the tower as a group. So from individual to group.
Yeah, when you talked to me about your idea and everything, I remembered that to have connection with an artwork, you need to be alone with it. So that subject of being alone can be interesting. At first I thought, this is hard. Why would somebody want to talk about loneliness, you know? Like how can you come up with a person or with a legal into a subject like that, but it can be fun.
It also can be good for teenagers also.
In which way?
That for them that is also very very important to be alone and not too alone, but then we change the program for try to be alone with the painting.
Great. Okay.
Without handy, but with some painting.
From our experience from the workshops in the gallery, when we asked the children, do they want to live alone when they go abroad, they said yes, alone. And we asked them, are you sure? They're definitely. I think it's an interesting topic. Yeah, because most of them they live with their parents,
with the teachers.
Yeah.
And with the group, they stay in a group. They need the group, but they don't want the group. They have no choice.
Great.
We chose this picture for the topic of multicultural society, and we thought about different things. We're not really sure to find the right things now, but we said like we could say, do you see like different parts of the society in the picture, and how they relate to each other, and how like are there emotions which are expressed or which you can feel out of this, and like we said, like they are three groups, and maybe we could like write a dialogue or play a dialogue what they are talking to each other in the picture about, like in the groups, about the scene. And trying to build a model where you can see the relations to each other. And
and the important thing were the emotions of the person, the emotions between each other. And because, yes, and we thought about it, the children should, the students should build maybe emotion of the person.
Of the person or emotions of
emotions of the between person, for example, 2 or 3 person figures. But yes, but we have animals here also, and but we were not really.
Find really
we couldn't find really.
But one idea was also to say that you choose one of the persons or the elements of the picture and to transform it like to a person in real life. Who can he be in real life, and what does he do now in this situation, like in real life.
Where are the person from? For example, he could be a president or a man from Serbia, the other one from America, and how they could communicate with, because
And how did you think of multiculturality as a subject?
Sorry?
Subject, what you mean?
Or did I express myself right? Multiculturality. So the multiculturality is your subject, right?
Yeah.
So I'm asking, why did you think of that subject?
Why we choose this subject? Because like we are dealing with it every day in the class with multicultural settings. Because like you said, there are 18 different mother tongues in one class.
Okay, that's new for us. We don't have the situation. That's why I'm asking.
In reality, it's common.
It's common.
But 18 is
cool.
But in my school,
it's amazing. 18
it's
incredible.
And what are the problems that arise from that? You know, like.
Like in my case, there are not so many different cultures, but there are like Czech and Austrians, and they build groups. And you can like discuss about why are you building groups, and are there like topics which divide this group, so you can think about like are there similarities and which are the things which are dividing the groups and why are they are there conflicts like in this picture? And like we said, like for example, this tiger could represent like one group of protecting the same from his group and protecting it against others. And here is like the crocodile with the children. They are different. Also playing with each other without any problem.
Okay, great.
We don't know.
So
what is the title?
the four streams. But we don't know. We don't really know what it is about. But if you want to know now more, there is a big exhibition on Rubens starting on the 16th. 16th, yes. Yeah. Plus, that might be a day you wanna get your thoughts away from other things. Because it's the day after the 15th.
Yeah, but the idea about the dialogue between them is really great. We could use that. Yeah.
Is there any questions for the group?
Okay. No? Okay. Here we have a hard one.
We decided first for the picture and later for the argument. It's inside this museum, so we would come here with students from 15 to 19. And we asked ourselves at the beginning what could be the argument, and fears, monsters, dreams, punishment, pain, or the sense of beauty and ugly. At the beginning we chose the sense of beauty and ugly, and later we changed to punishment. So our argument here, our topic is punishment. The first exercise was to come over here and do a little construction. And the exercise is imagine a friend helped you, build for him or her a reward, Belohnung in German. Okay? So we expect flowers, chocolates, I don't know, whatever. And get in contact with the picture, and we organized phrases, and they have to decide if the phrase is true, etc. It could be also man. You can
There are 6 types of animals. There are 5 types. Later we and let them make a construction with the question, what happened before? What caused this kind of punishment? And we expect other things like blood, guns, everything. Later we would do like we did this morning. We would turn to the picture about the picture itself, like and what was the last thing that she and later explaining a bit of Greek mythology and explaining the story of Medusa, because the picture is the head of Medusa, which was cut. Yeah, and the next thing is up to the teacher or up to the persons who do this workshop. It could be a psychological approachment. Let them talk about their personal experience with punishment. What kind of punishment do you know? What kind of punishment did your little sisters and brothers get from you? There is also an idea for an historical approach. Places where certain types of punishment were executed. So you could show them these places and later probably make a walk. But nobody knows about the punishments there. And there are ethic approaches, like talking about the death penalty, what do they think, or senseless punishment. And the last thing would be a type of résumé. Turn to the positive, which was reward, Belohnung, because we don't think that it is a good idea to let them go with this atmosphere. So it should be a circle that begins with a positive thing, reward. The positive ending is that in the resume we said, for example, okay, we have seen that there are a million types of punishment or a million places in Vienna where they got punished. But as you showed us at the beginning, there are also rewards, and we know that rewards are much more efficient. They work much better. So let's do our lives this way.
Because Perseus gets the princess for chopping her head off, right? This is what it's
15 to 19. No.
Yes, when we talked about the questions that could be asked and everything, we said that the painting is good. It looks like something that teenagers would like to discuss, you know.
I'm not wrong. I won't be anxious.
Yeah. It's not only the museums.
Sometimes we asked about superheroes, children, how they felt if they lose all their superpowers. For example, some of them committed suicide. It's a strange situation, and this kind of talks about violence and others.
So you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
You know.
even if you ask a good question.
So what was the most hard part for you in this exercise?
Coming up with a good question that with which they could actually work or build something. So not too abstract.
Not too direct.
And do you think that you could really, I don't know, use it, or is it just theoretical? You know? Yeah.
I think it should be like thought about seriously before. Like you shouldn't like, oh, today didn't think about anything. I go to class, take a picture, ask a question, and then look what's happening.
Yeah.
That could be quite dangerous, maybe. So you should really like think what's your path from beginning to the end, and where you will guide them through.
Yes.
Because especially like.
And you have to ask yourself if you want to run all the risks. All the risks that pictures like this.
And you never considered involving them in developing the questions?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Therefore, I would never do the psychologic approach here, because I don't want to know everything about my pupils, about my students.
Maybe because you said like you would ask which punishments did you receive. You can also ask like neutrally which punishments do you think are necessary in society for which things when they happen, and it's not me, it's just like what society does.
That's one of the main messages of Daniel. That's the thing, you don't have to ask a personal question, you can ask it on an abstract level. Like if we build a bad dream, a nightmare with them, you tell them to build a nightmare and not their nightmare. They're going to build their own nightmare, but it's their choice. And talking about such groups, so we had an incident, for example, where a girl, in her nightmare, which apparently was her nightmare, she was killed by, I think, her father. And like chased by her brother and killed by her father. So you get these kind of moments, but then it's like, you know, and that was it. Like there was no big drama around it, right? But so you can get to a very personal level, but then it's themselves who are opening up to the group.
But we already talked about it. It was in the break before this. What do you do if there comes up emotions that you are not prepared because you're not a psychologist? See, you say thank you, nice. Next one. Or another question was if something that is very terrible, do you say to the adult to accompany the group, or is it just yours, like information? No.
So these are exactly the kind of problems, the kind of questions we were asking ourselves at the beginning of the whole thing. And basically we've had, I don't know how many, 300 workshops? 250 workshops.
94.
We've had 294. We've had maybe one situation where we actually had a girl who was crying at the moment. And when the rest of the group would kind of completely take over. Like we didn't have to say a word, they had their own dynamic, and it worked out perfectly well. We've had a couple of situations where kids said things where we were like, oh my god, and they just took it completely relaxed. So in all these 200, we're talking about the death of relatives, and like really hardcore, or like this story where this girl got killed by her father. But she was completely cool about it, like talking about it in a very relaxed manner. And then we're not talking about 7-year-olds, we're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds who are, and that was one German experience that we were really stunned. Particularly when it came to these questions of empathy, of social conclusion, etc. that they are incredibly open and very often much further than we would have expected them to be on these issues. So what I'm just saying is that we've had these almost 300 or 294 workshops, and we didn't have any major problems. We did have some, again, we did have incidents where you maybe just have to say, okay, that's fine, like you think to yourself it's stupid, you should not, or she should not do that, but what the fuck? But that happens as well, but it has never been a real problem.
So it was a sort of, you get into much more critical situations than in any other normal program you would do in art education. Because it's on a very personal level, and it's all about emotions, it's all about individuals, and it really triggers something in a positive way, but also there are coming up many things you are perhaps at the first moment not quite sure how to handle, about sexuality, about rape, about what's in the paintings. The paintings are about this. And it's quite natural that these topics come up. And you get into situations you are not quite sure how you could handle this. But as Sasha already said, they are quite relaxed. They are very open. And we had a question round right before in the first workshop about talking about nightmare, and one of the teachers, I think, said she never thought that, or thinks that pupils will talk about this very personal aspects. Yes, they do. And they talk about more personal aspects than you would like to. And this is something you should handle. They are quite at ease with it, very often. There have been some aspects in the workshop where you really, and it's very difficult to tell. Are they talking about a personal experience? About a personal problem? Are they talking about something that is simply present in their peer group that they had read about, seen on television, seen on Facebook, whatever? So they are taking up topics that are present in our time, and you cannot really judge, is this their personal problem? If, then, okay, this might be a problem. But it is not it's not up to us. And we are not educated to solve it. Therefore, the teacher who is in a sort of way accompanying the workshop should be somebody who is taking part in the background and looking. He knows the pupils better than we do, and perhaps if he has more information, he can react. And sometimes they were simply turning up problematic comments or problematic models. They are trying to provoke you.
So sexist, racist.
So whatever, yes, and then it's a very personal way, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And a very, very good aspect is just simply, because you're not doing a psychologist's workshop. You are no therapist. You're an art educator. And you are dealing with artworks. And an important question in this case is simply ask, okay, where did you find this in the painting? Is there any hint in the story, any hint in the painting, which leads to this model, to this idea? If it's yes, then it has its right. And it might be brutal, it might be disturbing, but it has its right. If it has no connection with the artwork, and you ask this question in the group, which I think is a very important thing to do, because disturbing things may come up, absurd things may come up, but just to ignore them or let them stand this way they have been presented is perhaps no good idea for the whole group. But in simply leading back to the painting and the story, you absolutely can put them into relation and say, okay, you need not even to explain that it's nonsense. It's pretty very
one important thing again, like we are, it's a different context, and so you can work with them differently than you do in school.
Yeah.
That's a big advantage. They have a different approach. Yeah, that's something important to keep in mind. And the other thing is, it depends on the artwork you're choosing.
And the question.
If you are, of course, if you are dealing with nudity, you are running risk that they'll end up with somehow sexual contact, which, again, at that age, is also natural, right? But that's something you just have to ask yourself, like, how can I deal with this or that issue? If you're talking about this, well, you're running danger to get into a discussion about these issues. Is that true? Right?
Of course, yeah.
But that again is something you have to ask yourself whether you can handle it or not.
And that's a good hint because
We didn't take it.
so it is always your choice because you have to deal with it. How much powerful questions and artworks you risk to put on the table because they really have much strength in them and they could easily come up topics you perhaps not ready to deal with, but in this setting, in a museum, and in this sort of safe ground where you can also talk about it, it's better to talk about it than to leave them alone, because they see these pictures, not in the museum, but they see it on Facebook, they see it on TV. And to say, okay, they might be offended, they might be afraid. No, let them talk about it, because then you can put these topics into some relationship with art, and you can talk safely about this, you can exchange, you can see that others are thinking the same, or perhaps have another opinion, which might change and influence your own. So I think this is a very, very important thing, not to be afraid to talk and to speak or to provoke critical situations, critical subjects.
At the beginning, we would have liked to talk with them about beauty and ugly, which leads us to another direction now. If you talk about what is nice today and today.
Exclusion, because it's a very important topic for especially young girls from 14 to 18. What does this mean? For inclusion or exclusion?
It's a question you make.
I don't know if you talked about, because this would perfectly fit in. You had such a beautiful idea, I think a very impressive idea and way of dealing with the workshops with built what home means for you. If you would like to tell the participants, because I really think it is a good example for what I was talking about, and to show you how things could be done, but this was really a heavy thing. But I think it was very interesting.
Yeah, so we are talking about migrations and surveys that they don't like migrants in general. And I thought, how can we make them feel a little bit of empathy? So when they build it, and it's a nice, and then I do that, and I'm like, does everybody have another one's home? They're like, yeah, and then I say destroy it. And they're like, what? Somebody doesn't want their home to be destroyed, even if it's just a Lego model. So that's how powerful a home is to a person, and they have to destroy it. So that feeling of just being a toy destroyed gives sense to them. What does it mean? I mean, it's not a real sense, but you know.
And so far, but can you take any risks, and it works? And I think it's amazing. And just keep the Yugoslavian or Serbian situation in mind.
Yeah.
Where destroying the home is yet something completely different than in Austria, for example.
It's quite
so,
real.
yeah, exactly. And you didn't have any, like you had interesting experiences? But
yes. There weren't any negative. I mean, it's a toy. They know it.
Yeah.
So it's good. But I would also like to add that the aim of the whole workshop is still art, you know, and the way they look at the painting and to be able to verbally express what they see. So, because I'm thinking now, maybe you think we are doing psychology here, but it's really not the goal of the workshop. But this is just one of the ways to get them involved in the matter that we're speaking about.
And did you also use a picture for like starting?
Yes, we have two different workshops, and this one is dealing with free paintings, where we talk about home, we talk about the painter who left his country and studied painting in France. So just to be able to get close to that subject of leaving home, losing home, we use that particular exercise.
So you also start like with a piece of art and
no, that happens before the painting.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And then you take the painting and like take this thematics into the discussion of art.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I may say something, you see what's going on at the table. There are a lot of very interesting ideas, and we don't have a community yet of people practicing this and collecting all this information that can go in an exponential way to pass the experience and connect to each other. This one is listening to what I'm saying and then getting connected. So it's very important that we need to start to think with a completely different mind. We are museums, we are schools, but what we have is really powerful that can help each other, and it can help the society in many different ways. And I know by experience that to introduce this kind of changes is a hassle, you know, it's a hell. No one wants to do that, but we have to do it. We have to do it. That is the value of the creativity. We have the clients, we have the people, we have the profile, and we need to help each other, because all this information is very useful. The biggest barrier to just my more complicated, you know, and her team can drop smaller kind of revolution that we initiated 1 year ago, and we have the same problem. We are in they live in a bubble somehow that they doesn't know where that feeling of home, and also they have a sort of don't do anything for them, that they are going to be. So I think very interesting thing. Project
content to have a small coffee break.
Wow, now you talk, that's the best part.
No. Just the tiny part.
Yes,
So I would suggest
15 minutes for the coffee. It's going to be upstairs again.
Yes.
And it starts again at 16:30 up in the lecture hall. If you still have any personal stuff around here,
just
you won't come back down here again. So you don't have to take it upstairs. the